Mr. Speaker.
Order. David Bennett.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Transport. What reports has he received on future freight movement in New Zealand?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, I received a number of reports on a turnaround plan for freight services for KiwiRail, and together with the Prime Minister I was pleased to announce this morning the investment of $250 million with a commitment in principle to a further $500 million to support this plan. A stronger, self-sufficient KiwiRail will help increase New Zealand's economic productivity and assist us on the path to faster growth. The government's investment reflects the amount of freight being moved on New Zealand's transport network will double by 2040, and all transport modes need to become more efficient to meet this demand.
Excellent.
David Bennett.
Supplementary question to the Minister of Transport. Why is the government committing money to KiwiRail?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, KiwiRail is committed to a turnaround plan which is designed to see the rail freight business become financially sustainable within a decade by getting it to a point where it can fund its renewal and infrastructure investment costs solely from customer revenue. In fact, the lion's share of the turnaround plan will come from within the business itself. The government intends to invest a total of $750 million, with final decisions subject to individual business cases over the next 3 years.
David Bennett.
Supplementary question to the Minister of Transport. What will be required to make the KiwiRail turnaround plan successful?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, achieving this turnaround will be a challenging process and require the combined support of firstly the government as shareholders on behalf of taxpayers, every KiwiRail customer, the management and staff, the unions and the regional councils and their involvement with metropolitan commuter rail services. KiwiRail will need to focus on the areas where it can increase revenue, improve price to customers, become more efficient and carry more freight, particularly bulk and long distance freight.
The Honourable Darren Hughes.
Such an imbalance in the government's policies to address the efficiency of moving freight around the country, with his roads of national significance receiving $11 billion and rail only getting up to $750 million under the package announced today, when the doubling of the freight task he talks about will be largely in bulk commodities, something for which rail is ideally suited.
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, the member's incorrect. The plan actually calls for a total of $4.6 billion to be invested over 10 years, most of which comes from within KiwiRail, and compares favourably, in fact, with the $10.7 billion over 10 years when you consider that roads currently carry 70% of freight. The major point of difference for the member is that roads are, of course, and this investment in roading is paid for by road users. The purpose of this plan is to get rail freight to the same point as roading, where it can pay for its own capital and its own maintenance costs.
Question number 12, Dr Russell Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Bill English, point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I seek leave to table a press release where the Minister for the Environment announced government policy that doubled the fines for people who had minor breaches of consent.
Order. What's the date of this press release?
I haven't got the date.
I've made a pretty long-standing ruling of not seeking leave to table press releases. I did make an exception to that today where there was a matter of direct controversy across the House. But I don't want to go back to where press releases are being tabled. The Honourable Dr Nick Smith, point of order.
Mr. Speaker, in reference to an earlier question, I seek leave to table excerpts from a report from ACC that dealt with the questions raised by Annette King in respect of statements from the psychiatrist.
Order. The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, I seek leave to table excerpts of the report from ACC that deal with the issue of a statement by the College of Psychiatrists and General Practitioners that was provided to me in October 2009.
Leave a point of order, the Honourable Trivmella.
Mr. Speaker, the opposition will object for two reasons. One, because it's excerpts and not the whole report, and secondly, because the member quoted from Hansard. That member's Hansard.
Order. The member resumes because the member's now getting into debating, and I apologise for the House for letting this situation arise. Now look, order, I'm on my feet. And all around the House there will be silence. I don't know what's happened today. Week off and members lose their discipline. Now, the member has sought leave to table excerpts from an ACC document, and leave is sought for that. Is there any objection? Yes, there is objection. Question number 12, Dr. Russell Norman. Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
One point of order back from the attempt, sir. We had an assurance that Dr. Smith was not involved in regulatory matters earlier. We've just had it from the Minister of Finance that he is involved in regulatory matters to do with the environment.
Order.
Sir, he
Order,
can't be telling
the member
truth
resume his
twice.
seat immediately. Now, I take a very dim view of that because the member knows that's nothing to do with the order of the House at all. An experienced member would know that. And I don't want this trifling with this House to carry on. Question number 12, Dr. Russell Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance and asks,